Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, November 28th. It is 3:15 p.m. People, what a day today. What a day. There's so much to talk about. So much. I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know if I can get it all in. It's bizarro land right now. I want to start with today's Senate Banking Committee. They were grilling Jerome Powell, okay, President Trump's Fed chairman candidate. I think it was noted, first of all, for the fact that there were several people on the committee that didn't even bother to show up. This is pass, go, collect $200. I mean, he's all but confirmed. This was nothing but, just a dog and pony show today. They threw him some softballs, and that's it. And I watched it. I don't know if you had an opportunity to watch it, but I put on CNBC today, and I watched it. And, they asked them the usual. And I just want to just hit the highlights real fast. I wasn't writing down notes. I was just listening. And then about almost towards the end, I said, let me jot a few notes down. But anyway, somebody asked him about auditing the Fed. His answer, no. The Fed needs its independence. It's like the mafia, not for nothing. I mean, it really is. The Cosa Nostra. I mean, this is, we need our independence. You don't come in and you don't look at our books, okay? The untouchables, okay? So that's out. They're not going to audit the Fed. Then deregulation came up. And he's for deregulation. There's too much regulation. It's not efficient, okay? And some senator from Hawaii, he made some good points. He said, banks are at their profits, record profits, bonuses, executives, everything's going fantastic for these banks. So how has all this regulation hurt them? I mean, what is it we're trying to fix, and who is it for? So, I don't know. They want the Wild West again. That's what they want. Get rid of it all. Basel, Dodd-Frank, it's got to be the Wild West again, all right? It's never enough for these banksters. It's never enough. So deregulation, we're going to try to make it the Wild West. Then it was tax cuts. They want to try to bait them into the political arena now about tax cuts. This is all going to be, if we go with this tax reform, well, we're not going to be getting as much tax revenue. So it's going to be all deficit, right? Deficit spending. They all want to talk about how the tax cuts are no good, but nobody wants to talk about reducing spending. Stop spending like drunken sailors. Nobody wants to talk about that. And he didn't really get baited into that. Somebody actually asked them to compare the difference between Bitcoin and .com, which I had to laugh because I did a video just yesterday on that, all right? And the similarities. I mean, it's striking. And he basically said that, he's not worried about Bitcoin right now. The market cap is too small. Maybe down the line, but we're not concerned about Bitcoin right now. Then, of course, there was the debt. They wanted to talk about the debt. And it's interesting. They want to talk about the debt. Oh, we're happy to talk about the debt. I'm glad you want to talk about the debt. But nobody wants to do anything about the debt. It's amazing. And he basically, we're going to have a problem down the line where there could be problems with the debt. But nobody wants to address it. They just want to talk about it. We talked about the debt. We had a very healthy debate about the debt. But when are you going to do something about the debt? Then they wanted to talk about inflation. and why they can't meet their 2% target. And he wasn't sure if this was transitory or something else. He says it's surprising. We were surprised. He has no clue. Okay? That's what he said. He was surprised that it came in weak. Then they tried to prod him. When are you going to raise interest rates? I guess they want to make advanced bets with their bookies, you know. And he wasn't going there. Well, we have to have this discussion. It wouldn't be right for me to, you know, say what we're going to do until we all get together. That's our policy, and we all debated, you know. So he says it's basically all coming together. That's another one of those ambiguous words they like to throw out. Likely, maybe, soon, perhaps. It's all coming together, yeah. I don't know, people. Then the stress tests. He wants to do away with the stress tests for banks that have 100 billion or less. They're like peanuts. 100 billion. I mean, we're talking, and at this point, that's what we're talking. 100 billion. But what are you talking about? Chump change. No stress tests for banks 100 billion or less. I mean, they're like the peanut gallery. So let them do whatever they want to do. It doesn't matter. That's what he said. To pass a stress test, you got to fog a mirror. That's basically all you have to do. If you can fog up a mirror, you can pass the stress test. So who are they kidding? All right? Then the other thing that was interesting, this full employment. Full employment, right? They have full employment. Do they or don't they have full employment? If they have full employment, they questioned, how come there's no wage growth? There's absolutely no wage growth. And I thought this was a very interesting statistic. People of prime age, defined basically age 25 to 50, that prime age, that pool of would-be workers, 1 out of 4 is out of work. That's a lot. 25% of the prime age is out of work. Never mind the people under 25, like these college students that are coming out with $200,000 in debt, okay? And they've taken up these majors that they can't do anything with. And the people over 50 who have been displaced from the workforce and they can't find jobs, all right? They're working at Home Depot. Hi, may I help you? You know, that's what's going on here, all right? That's why there's no wage growth. Because the attitude is, you know, with these companies, we're going to get mean and we're going to get slim and trim. And this is your job, and if you don't like it, you can find the door. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. That's the attitude. And the employee has no leverage. He has no leverage. Be thankful you have a job. The beatings will continue until the morale improves. That's what's going on here, people. Then they talked about these bank fines, this bad behavior. Okay? I mean, yeah, and you know what, people? A couple of years ago, I started, you know, these class action lawsuits came out with gold, right? A few of them popped up, Deutsche Bank, right? And I started calling up lawyers because I wanted to bring a lawsuit. Now, my situation was different because this is physical gold. Right? These class action lawsuits are more about futures, options, where there's a time sensitivity involved. Because let's face it, if you have a futures contract and they manipulate the price and your contract expires, well, you're out of luck. But if you own physical gold, well, you know, you're really not out of luck because you didn't sell anything. There's no time constraint here. So you're not really, that's what I was told by several lawyers. You really haven't been materially damaged because you still own your gold. People, that's BS. If these markets, which they are, have been manipulated, then how do you ever know what the real price of gold is and silver is? Okay? So because I still own my gold, according to this legal jargon, I haven't been materially affected yet. That's bullshit. That's complete bullshit. Okay? So nobody wanted to take the case. All right? So then they asked, this was an interesting too, getting back to the debt. They said, well, your predecessor Ben Bernanke, he voiced strong concerns about the debt. And then Janet Yellen, who you'll be replacing, she also voiced strong concerns about the debt. How do you feel? How do you come down on this? They voiced strong. They were the ones who created the debt. Is this ludicrous or what? So this whole thing was just smoke and mirrors today. All right? Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. And I was watching the stock market as this was happening. First of all, the 10-year did not budge. The 10-year was not budging, 2.31. Okay? And stock, when I tuned in, the Dow was 80. And then it was staying about 80, 85, 80, 85, 88, 85, 90. Then it just 95, 100, 120, 130. When he was done speaking, it was 140 points the Dow was up. Okay? So obviously the markets liked what they heard. Okay? So I find it very interesting. Getting back to the markets, I mean, these markets, this is gangbusters. Bitcoin, $9,988 a coin as I speak. This is all record highs here. S&P was up 20 as I speak, 26, 22. Dow was up 186 points as I speak, 2370, 767. The NASDAQ was up 25, 6,903. I said yesterday, a lot of people calling for 10,000 NASDAQ. It's unbelievable. Talk about manipulation. I was listening to Keith Neumeyer, CEO of First Majestic Silver. It's a company I own. Now, I bought shares at $5. I bought more shares at $10. It went all the way up to about 17 and then came back down. Right now it's at $6.69. Okay? Up 3 cents today. He's calling for $130 silver and $8,000 gold in the next 3 to 5 years. All right? You know, like I said, there's so much to talk about, people. Just another carnival barker. Just another P.T. Barnum. All right? Silver can't even get out of 17. They whacked it again today. He's calling for 130 silver. For the usual reasons. It's an industrial metal, blah, blah, blah. We've heard all this before. All right? So, now, few other things I still have to talk about. After that speech ended, well, let me go here for a second. There's just so much. Getting back to this Jerome Powell. I want to read something, okay? Found it a little interesting, a little comical almost. Jerome Powell, the nominee to chair the Federal Reserve, defended the Fed's use of broad crisis-fighting powers in remarks prepared for his Tuesday Senate confirmation hearing, positioning himself as an extension of the central bank policies of current chair Janet Yellen and his predecessor Ben Bernanke. He's just the same person in a different suit. That's all he is. In a brief opening statement released by the Fed on Monday, so this was yesterday, Powell, who is currently a member of the Fed's Board of Governors, endorsed the core ideas that have defined U.S. central banking since the financial crisis of 2007 to 2009, a willingness to move aggressively against the downturn and an insistence on flexibility and independence from political influence in setting policy. It's like the Black Hand. This is like the Black Hand. You ever see the movie The Godfather? Right? Way back when the Don is a young guy, right? He's delivering fruit and you got that one guy, he just, he controls the neighborhood. And he wets his beak. He gets a little from everybody. He goes around and he wets his beak. Yeah, give me. You got to pay me my respect. Let me wet my beak a little. There's no difference here. There's no difference. We must retain the flexibility to adjust our policies in response to economic developments, Powell said in the remarks. We must be prepared to respond decisively and with appropriate force to new and unexpected threats to our nation's financial stability and economic. He sounds more like a general. This is a war, people. This is a war. I say gold is not an investment. Gold is a war. This guy sounds like a war, not for nothing. Move aggressively, right? Decisively, right? With force. I mean, what is this guy? I will do everything in my power. Why should it be in his power? When are we going to take back our markets, people? I will do everything in my power to achieve those goals. People, when are we going to take back our markets? Our free and fair markets? Are they gone forever? I will do everything in my power to achieve those goals while preserving the Federal Reserve's independence. There it is again. The untouchables and nonpartisan status that is so vital to their pursuit, Powell said, referring to the Fed's congressionally mandated goals of promoting both maximum employment and low and stable inflation. It's unbelievable, people. It's really unbelievable. So after the hearing was over, I'm still watching CNBC. And then CNBC comes out and kind of hits the highlights, conveniently just taking a few things out of context. And then you got this one guy on CNBC. I'm in a pretty seedy mood today, people, if you haven't noticed. I'm in a little bit of a seedy mood. You got this one guy on CNBC. I'm not going to mention any names. He's the smug one. He's the real smug one, okay? And he makes this statement. They're all saying, well, this is it. It's green lights ahead for these markets. There's nothing that could derail these markets. And he comes out, this smug one, and he says something about, you can listen to these YouTube amateurs who want to keep calling for the apocalypse, these amateurs on YouTube, who keep calling for the apocalypse, the smug one. I know he's not talking to me because I've never called for the apocalypse in stocks. As a matter of fact, as you know, I've been saying up until just like last week, this time it's different. Stocks, who needs gold? We have stocks. Even now, I would never be insane enough to short stocks. I said I don't need the last 20%. All right, I don't think it's just a one-way trade anymore. So I know he's not talking to me. But I was offended nonetheless. Now, I know there are a lot of fake news people on YouTube calling for these carnival barkers, these P.T. Barnum types, behind every crowd there's a silver lining, all right? Calling for, the crash, gold to $10,000, Keith Neumeyer, $8,000 gold, $130 silver, okay? Stocks are going down 50%, I'm not part of that crowd. So I know he wasn't talking to me. But nevertheless, he ought to take a good look in the mirror. Because all they do, they're just shills and cheerleaders. That's all they are. Shills and cheerleaders. So the truth is a very rare commodity these days, people. It's a very rare commodity. Okay? A couple of other things. I know this is getting long. But I'll touch on it briefly. They came out with the CaseShiller National Home Price NSA Index up 6.2% in the last 12 months, right? CaseShiller 20 City Composite Index, right? You got Atlanta, Boston, Charlotte, Chicago, Cleveland, Dallas, Denver, Detroit, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Miami, Minneapolis, New York, Phoenix, Portland, San Diego, San Francisco, Seattle, Tampa, and Washington, D.C. The S&P CoreLogic CaseShiller U.S. National Home Price NSA Index, covering all 9 U.S. Census divisions, reported a 6.2% annual gain in September up from 5.9 in the previous month. The 10-city composite had an annual increase of 5.7. The 20-city composite posted 6.2. Seattle, Las Vegas, San Diego reported the highest year-over-year gains among the 20 cities. In September, Seattle led the way with 12.9%. I mean, you're getting 13% every year in Seattle for your house. Followed by Las Vegas with 9%, San Diego 8.2%. Home prices continue to rise across the country. I mean, this is... Didn't we just see this act? Wasn't this the same 9-10 years ago, leading up to the crisis? Didn't we just see this play? Meanwhile, the median home now is like $240,000. Half, that means half lower and half higher. So, but they can't find inflation anywhere. No matter where you look, they can't find it. This is the CaseShiller. Look at that chart. S&P CoreLogic CaseShiller 20-city home price. Look at that thing. September 2016 to September 2017. But they can't find inflation. It's a mystery to them. I don't know, people. So anyway, I was going to talk about Bitcoin. Maybe I'll save it, but I want to do it justice. So I had downloaded an ebook about 3 or 4 years ago about Bitcoin, getting into the technical end of it, and I went back and revisited it because there were a few things I wanted to recall to my mind. So maybe that will pick it up tomorrow. Anyway, that's pretty much it for now. Oh, and one other thing. North Korea, they fired 3 ballistic missiles. That's like a side note, right? And gold goes down? We're living in the Twilight Zone, people. There's definitely a spiritual element here. There has to be. There has to be a spiritual element to all of this. I'm convinced of that more and more. I play chess. And in chess, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end game. I'm trying to think what the end game is here. I'm really trying to say, what is this end game? What's the end game for Bitcoin? Either it crashes, right? Or we get $40,000 Bitcoin, $100,000 Bitcoin. What is the end game? It's pretty scary. So anyway, that's about it. Beautiful day out today. Gorgeous fall weather. If you have an opportunity, get out, take a good long walk. It'll do your spirit, soul, and body, a world of good. So, Lord willing, we pick it up tomorrow. Have a good day. Ciao.